I never expected my life to take such a drastic turn. Growing up, my parents were always there for me. We weren't rich, but we found happiness in the little things. Then, just 2 years after marrying Liam, I lost them in a heartbreaking accident. Their death left a hole in my heart that seemed impossible to fill. Liam was there for me in the beginning, offering support and comfort as I mourned. But over time, things started to change. Liam came from a wealthy, influential family. His parents, Harold and Margary, never seemed to accept me. At a family event, Margary once said, "You're lucky my son even looks at you. Don't forget your roots." I tried to dismiss it, thinking she was just trying to assert control, but after losing my parents, her words kept repeating in my mind with every interaction. I ended up moving in with Liam's family temporarily, while we looked for a place of our own. What was meant to be a short-term arrangement quickly morphed into something far more uncomfortable. Marg's coldness turned into open hostility. She started assigning me chores as if I were a servant. "If you're staying here, you better pull your weight," she'd say, her smile barely hiding the disdain in her voice. At first, I didn't protest. I was grieving and didn't want to create any more conflict. But soon, I realized it wasn't just about helping out. Harold and Margary treated me like I was beneath them. They hosted extravagant dinners with high society guests while I served drinks and cleaned up afterward. One evening, during one of these gatherings, Marg's voice cut through the air. "Sarah, sweetie, you missed a spot," she said, pointing at a tiny speck of dust on the mantel. The guests burst into laughter, and I felt my cheeks burn with embarrassment. Liam stood nearby, saying nothing. That night, I tried to talk to Liam. "Your parents are treating me like their servant," I said, my voice shaking. He sighed. "They're old-fashioned, Sarah. Don't take it to heart. It's their house." "Old-fashioned," I echoed incredulously. "Liam, they're humiliating me. Can't you see that?" "Just let it go," he replied, turning away. That was the first crack in our relationship. One day, Marg's friend Evelyn came over for tea. I overheard their conversation while I was in the kitchen. "Why does she even stay here?" Evelyn asked. "She must have some pride, right?" Margary laughed coldly. "She has nowhere else to go. She's just lucky we're so charitable." The words sliced through me like sharp knives. I wanted to confront them, but I knew it would only make things worse. I stayed in the kitchen, gripping the counter until my hands went white. As the months dragged on, their treatment worsened. Harold made passive-aggressive comments about how people like me didn't understand the value of hard work, even though I had worked 2 jobs to help Liam through college before we got married. Margary took pleasure in belittling me. During one family dinner, she asked, "Sarah, do you even know which fork to use?" The room erupted in laughter, and I wished I could disappear into the floor. The breaking point came one evening when Harold told me his boss, Mr. Grant, was coming for dinner. "This is a big night," he said, pointing at me. "Don't embarrass us, Sarah." That night, I made a silent vow to endure whatever came my way for Liam's sake. I had no idea that evening would change everything. Despite my best efforts, things didn't improve. Each day felt like the last. The tasks piled up, and the animosity from Liam's family grew stronger. I woke up before dawn to make breakfast, only to have Elaine, Thomas's mother, criticize my cooking. Elaine often barked at me to refill drinks or serve desserts while completely ignoring my presence. Richard, her husband, wasn't any better. I began to feel like an outsider in what should have been my home. When I spoke to Thomas, he brushed me off. "They're just set in their ways," he said. "Pick your battles." Mia, but how could I pick my battles when it felt like a constant war? One night, Elaine invited friends for dinner. She spent the whole day ordering me around, making sure everything was perfect. By the time the guests arrived, I was beyond exhausted, but I forced a polite smile. During the evening, one of Elaine's friends asked about my family. I hesitated but told them I lost my parents when I was young and grew up in foster care. The room fell silent. Elaine quickly broke the tension with a forced laugh. "Well, that explains why you're so good at handling things on your own," she said, her friends chuckling. while I could feel their judgment in their eyes. I felt like an exhibit. Later, I confronted Thomas. "Your mother humiliated me tonight." "You're overreacting," he replied, not even looking up from his phone. "She didn't mean anything by it." "How can you say that? You hurt her." I shot back. "You need to stop making everything about you. My parents have done so much for us." He sighed. I stared at him, heartbroken. "So, that gives them the right to treat me like I'm beneath them?" He didn't answer, and I realized that the man I had married was slipping away. The next day, while running errands for Elaine, I stopped for coffee at a cafe. While waiting, I overheard a man talking passionately about a new charity project. His warm voice drew me in, and for a moment, I felt a sense of longing. When I looked up, our eyes met, and he smiled. I quickly looked away. That evening, Elaine announced that Richard's boss, Mr. Harrington, would be joining us for dinner next week. She oversaw every detail of the preparations like a drill sergeant. "Don't screw this up, Mia," she warned. The days leading up to the dinner were exhausting. I spent hours cleaning and perfecting dishes. By the time the evening arrived, I was too tired to feel nervous. As the guests came in, I stayed in the background serving drinks. But when Mr. Harrington walked through the door, my heart stopped. It was the man from the cafe. He paused when he saw me, his brow furrowing slightly. "Mia," he asked. Everyone turned to look at me. I froze. "You two know each other?" Richard asked, his tone suspicious. Mr. Harrington smiled. "Oh, we go way back, don't we, Mia?" The room hummed with curiosity, and I could feel Elaine's burning gaze on me. I found myself frozen, trying to grasp how to explain the unexpected twist that had just unfolded. One thing was undeniable. Everything was on the verge of shifting. The room was heavy with silence, all eyes fixed on me, awaiting my reply. Yes," I managed to say, my voice shaky. Mr. Harrington was familiar with my parents. Richard's gaze sharpened, his suspicion growing. Elaine, ever the gracious host, awkwardly laughed to break the tension. "Well, what a small world. Do come in, Mr. Harrington." The dinner continued, but it was clear that Mr. Harrington was the center of attention. Everyone hung on his every word, fascinated by his tales of success. I quietly served the food, staying clear of his gaze, yet I couldn't help but notice his occasional curious glance in my direction. As the evening came to a close, Mr. Harrington asked to speak with me alone. Elaine didn't look pleased but kept her objections to herself. We stepped into the hallway, and when he saw me, his stern expression softened. "Mia, is that really you? It's hard to believe. How have you been?" His genuine concern hit me in a way I hadn't felt in years, like someone truly cared. "It's been tough," I confessed. He looked troubled. "After your parents passed, I lost track of you. I tried to find you, but ended up in the foster system." A deep sigh escaped him. "I'm sorry, Mia. Your parents were close friends of mine. They'd be heartbroken knowing what you've gone through." Memories flooded back, and I struggled to find my voice. His kindness was overwhelming. Before leaving, he asked if I could walk him to his car. Richard and Elaine hesitated but allowed it. As we strolled down the driveway, he turned to me, his face serious. "Mia, this isn't where you belong. They treat you like you're invisible, but you've grown into a strong, capable woman. Your parents would be proud." Tears welled up in my eyes. It had been so long since anyone spoke to me like that. "I don't have anywhere else to go," I murmured. He placed a reassuring hand on my shoulder. "You've got me now. I'll help you." His words lingered in my mind, sparking a glimmer of hope. For the first time in ages, I imagined a life beyond Thomas's family home, one where I was valued. But escaping wouldn't be easy. Elaine and Richard would fight to keep me under their control. Then Mr. Harrington called with an offer, a job at his company, one he thought would be perfect for me. "I know it's a lot," he said, "but think about it. This could be your chance to start over." I hesitated. The thought of working for someone like him was both thrilling and daunting, but my biggest fear was how Thomas and his family would react. "You deserve this, Mia," he reassured me. "Don't let anyone talk you out of it." That evening, all hell broke loose. Elaine stormed into the kitchen, furious that I had neglected to polish the silverware. "You can't even get the basics right," she yelled. Before I could respond, Thomas jumped in. "Mom's right. You've been slacking." His words hit me like a punch to the gut. After everything I'd endured, this was how they saw me. Something inside me snapped. I thought of Mr. Harrington's offer and the chance to build a better life. "I'm done," I said, surprising myself. Thomas's face contorted in confusion. "What do you mean?" "I'm done being treated like a servant. I'm done living in a house where I'm not respected. I'm leaving." The room went silent. Elaine and Richard stared in shock, and for the first time, Thomas was speechless. That night, I packed my things and left. Walking out the door felt both terrifying and liberating. I didn't know what the future held, but I knew one thing for certain: no one would hold me back anymore. I spent the night at a cheap motel, using the little savings I had. Doubts crept in, but I remembered Mr. Harrington's words. "You don't belong there, Mia. You're capable of so much more." The next morning, I called him to let him know I had left. He was relieved and arranged for me to meet him at his office. As I walked into the sleek corporate building, I felt out of place. Everyone looked sharp and confident, and I felt self-conscious in my worn clothes. But when Mr. Harrington greeted me with a warm smile, my nerves eased slightly. "I'm glad you came," he said, leading me into his office. "Let's talk about how we can get you started." He explained the job he had in mind, an entry-level administrative position. It wasn't glamorous, but it was a beginning, a chance to learn, grow, and, most importantly, become independent. "You've got potential, Mia," he said. "This is just the start." Starting at the company was tough. I had no experience, and the learning curve was steep. There were times when I doubted myself, but every time I felt overwhelmed, I thought about where I came from and where I wanted to go. Mr. Harrington became a mentor, always offering encouragement and support. Slowly, I found my rhythm. I made friends at work, and for the first time in a long while, I felt like I belonged. As I settled into my new life, I began to heal from my past. Losing my parents had left a hole that time couldn't easily fill, but with therapy and introspection, I started to feel stronger. One evening, as I was going through my parents' old belongings, I found a letter my mother had written to me. It said, "Mia, life will challenge you, but never forget how strong and capable you are. You have a kind heart, and that will take you far. Always believe in yourself, even when it seems impossible." Tears streamed down my face as I read it. I realized that despite everything, I was living the life my parents would have wanted for me, a life of dignity, hope, and possibilities. Months later, I ran into Thomas at a coffee shop. He seemed surprised and, to my shock, a little remorseful. "Mia," he said awkwardly, "I've been meaning to apologize."
"I didn't treat you right." He sighed.
"None of us did. I'm sorry." I didn't want to stay angry, so I simply said, "Thank you. I hope you've learned from it." As I walked away, I felt a sense of closure. I didn't need validation from Thomas anymore. I had found my strength. A year after leaving, I had built a life I was proud of. I'd received a promotion at work, moved into my own apartment, and even started taking classes. Mr. Harrington remained a guiding figure in my life, and I was forever grateful for his support. More than anything, I was proud of myself for taking the leap, for persevering, and for rediscovering my worth. As I sat on my balcony one evening, watching the sunset, I reflected on my journey. Life hadn't been easy, but it had taught me resilience. "Thank you, Mom and Dad," I whispered into the fading light. "I'm finally living the life you always wanted for me." For the first time in years, I felt truly at peace.